For nearly 12 months straight, Kiryat Shmona has been a ghost town. Its streets all but abandoned, except for the most resilient of its residents. Of the stubborn few that remain, not all are native-born, Hebrew-speaking Israelis.
Well, hi, I'm Chris. I'm a Scottish atheist here in Kiryat Shmona in the north of Israel.
Originally from Edinburgh, Chris escaped a rough upbringing and has called Israel home for 20 years. He moved to the country's north after he met an Israeli woman, and he stays when others have left to remain close to his ex-wife and their 2 children.
And it's what they want us to run. And I think there's something about my childhood that no more running. You have to stand up when you're getting bullied, when you're getting pushed down, whether it's an oppressor, whether it's terrorism, you have to stand up to that. You can't run.
Of the communities evacuated along the Lebanese border, Kiryat Shmona is the largest. 90% of its population are gone, fleeing the rockets launched at the city almost daily. But Chris, like around 1,000 other residents, refuses to run. As the war has lengthened, the scale of the bombardments against Kiryat Shmona have increased, causing residents who stayed for 10 months to give up and leave in recent weeks, Chris says.
I mean, at the beginning of the war, it was 8 or 9 missiles a day, maybe 4 or 5. But now it's 40, 50, 60.
With his living room window looking out directly onto the border and his apartment on the 4th floor, Chris's options during incoming fire are limited.
So I'll grab my helmet. I throw it on because we only have maybe 4 to 5 seconds before it hits us here. So I'll run into here. I'll pull this sliding door back. And what I do is I pull the fridge door open and I'll hide behind the fridge door.
During the worst bouts of fire, Chris and his 2 remaining neighbours have spent nights sleeping in the bomb shelter in their building's basement. For good reason. The street in front of his home is pockmarked from rocket strikes.
At least in this 500-meter radius. At least 30 have landed. So as you can see, even on the other side of the street, everything is all boarded up, destroyed. You'll see where a Farkan missile landed, which is one of the bigger Hezbollah missiles supplied by Iran. And what you can see here is basically the remains of the wee Honda. It's gone.
This was your car?
Aye, gone.
Other homes in the city have sustained much greater damage.
Just over my right shoulder, this is a location where one of these rockets impacted. You can see the trees around. You can see the brown dots where the trees have been shredded from the shrapnel of that explosion, and the fencing and the pavement are just destroyed. But most of the significant damage is actually over here on this side, where this house to the left of us has been completely shredded by the shrapnel that was thrown out by that impact. And even more significantly, you'll see these 2 cars that have been destroyed. Now, the first of these cars, this one here, completely burnt out. You can see the fence along behind it where the burn damage is, as well as the trees around it are completely scorched. The second car, this one here, this damage here is actually, it looks like melt damage because of the intensity of the inferno from the first car. But you'll also notice that the front of the car is completely shredded with shrapnel that was thrown out from the original explosion. At the back here, you'll also see the second house where the windows have been boarded up, again, where they've been shredded from the shrapnel. But this tree here, I think, is the most demonstrative of the explosion. The top of the tree has just been completely decapitated, and it's been knocked off, presumably from the force of the explosion that went off on the other side of the street.
Smaller communities along the Israel-Lebanon border have fared no better than Kiryat Shmona. We travel south to Malkiya, a kibbutz directly on the border, to visit Chris's friend. Minutes before, sirens sounded in the kibbutz.
Hey buddy, how you doing? I know, it was crazy. We watched it coming over from Kiryat Shmona just now.
We take back roads, avoiding the main approach to Malkiya, which is designated as red, meaning off limits to travel due to Hezbollah attacks. The forests and agricultural land in the hills approaching the kibbutz are scorched from months of cross-border barrages, with the carcasses of cattle lying in the fields where the animals fell. In Malkiya we meet Dean, another Brit who has made the north of Israel his home. After marrying an Israeli and living in London many years, the open hills of northern Israel became a home for him, his wife and children. Dean is one of the few left living in the kibbutz.
When the war started, my wife and daughter evacuated. We took them to a safe place. I stayed because I was a volunteer working for the kibbutz, helping with the security, helping with the fires. And I said, there's no way you're taking me away from here when the kibbutz needs the help.
Malkiya is so vulnerable to attacks from Lebanon that firefighters are not permitted to attend the kibbutz, meaning the handful of volunteers like Dean are left to tackle fires that occur using improvised equipment.
What am I doing caught up in this fight? It's like any expat caught up in a fight in any country around the world. This just happens to be my home now. It has been for 8 years, and I'm here and I will remain here, and I will protect my town, my village, my kibbutz and the country. This is my home. And why would I run back to England?
While travelling around the kibbutz, Dean keeps his flak vest and a weapon close to hand.
You don't have a gun license?
No, because I don't speak Hebrew.
Like many northern communities, Malkiya is close enough to the border that you could shout to Lebanese villagers on the other side.
That's Lebanon.
Yeah.
Okay. And the reason we haven't hit that is because that belongs to the Lebanese army and not Hezbollah. That was built by the Israelis when we were last in Lebanon. I'm going to park here for a quick escape, okay? The viewpoint, this was built 2 years ago. Tourists to come, because we have the hotel here, picnic area, just enjoy the view. You know, because we're not at war with the farmers. You know, we wave at the farmers every day, you know, hi, how are you doing? You know, now most of the buildings have been taken out because the Hezbollah have used them for firing.
How much civilian activity do you see on that side? Are there still people living there?
No, all the farmers are gone. Everyone has gone.
As the conflict on the border flares up to new heights, yet more people, Israelis and Lebanese, are being displaced. For their parts, Chris and Dean intend to stay, no matter where the spiralling violence leads.
There's probably less than 1,000 people left in Kiryat Shmona and the entire surrounding area. But if we all leave, they're going to win.
If everyone decided they're all going to evacuate, then there's no one left to protect our kibbutz. So we stayed.